If things get bad, you will see the same levers being pulled: Twitter, Facebook, internet. We're being told now that the president here needs to have the ability to shut down the internet. An internet kill switch, just for emergencies and for your safety, of course. Can you see a time when a president on the left or the right needs to shut down Twitter just to stop the riots? It's not technology. What is happening to us? Many things. But we are now mirroring the 1960s when our parents saw the world change. We're about to see it again. Our parents or our grandparents were worried about Elvis in the 50s. Oh, egads, look at the way his hips move. Turns out that was nothing compared to what was coming. Because later in the 1960s, where you were either the ones that watched the moonshot or you were the ones that participated in Woodstock, you were either watching a miracle on the moon of landing a man there, being awed by it, or you were so stoned you rolled around in the mud like the pig and just had sex with anything that moved, all the while calling police pigs for political purposes. The reason why the Weather Underground considered its days of rage successful is because, quote, they did close to $500,000 worth of physical damage and put about 50 pigs in the hospital, one seriously injured, end quote. No, technology wasn't the problem during the turbulent 60s and the days of rage. There was no internet. There was no Twitter. There weren't a cell phone, texting. There wasn't an answering machine. We still had party lines. Words are not the problem. It's the choices that individuals make in choosing their own course or action that is the problem. Violence is never the answer. I don't know what choice everybody who happens to view this broadcast will make, but I will make this choice. I stand for nonviolence, and I stand with our police officers. I said at the beginning of the year, we've spent enough time talking about our problems. That's why we did the E4 thing. We're trying to get solutions: enlightenment, education, empowerment, entrepreneurship. We're trying to, because people say to me all the time, okay, I get it, I got it. What do we do about it? Okay, well, first, on tonight's episode, we're talking about violence and the killing of police officers and what we're doing to ourselves. First, if I may, could I ask you to start treating your local police force like we all treated our police force and firefighters right after 9/11? Go up intentionally to an officer and shake his hand and thank him for his service. Tell him you support him. I want you to know I'm not stupid, I'm not naive. I know there are bad apples in every force, but the bad ones are few and far between. And if you find bad apples, or if you have them in your town, root them out and throw their butts in jail. Bad cops are not cops. They're criminals. They belong in jail with other criminals. And I don't need to understand why they did it, just like I don't need to understand why the criminals did it. But I do know this. I believe it was Donny Osmond who said it best when he said, "One bad apple don't spoil the whole bunch, girl." Then I'd like to ask you to do this. Call your police station tonight, your local police station. Find out, A, how to donate to any of the families of these fallen police officers. B, ask them how to donate to make sure that every police officer in your town has a bulletproof vest. They are expensive, I know. There is one more thing, if you would. I meet police officers all the time, all around the country. I stop on book tours or stage shows or wherever I'm at and whatever I'm doing. And I meet a lot of them. And I always shake their hand, and I always put a hand on their shoulder. And it's not because I saw Bill Clinton do that. I'm always doing it for a reason. I'm putting my hand on their shoulder to feel their back, to see if they're wearing a vest or not. I'm shocked at how many officers choose not to wear a vest. Please tell the police officers the same thing I do. Don't leave your house without a vest, please. We need you, but more importantly, your children need you. America, sadly, is changing for hopefully a short period of time. We started with a couple of ideas. YouTube is not the problem, but the name does have part of it. And melting pot. How do we get out of this mess? Well, we have to be a melting pot again. We have to find what unites us and get back into the melting pot. But on the big things, values and principles that we all found on 9/11 and 9/12. And you have to be a leader. We have an incredible leadership vacuum in this country. So, melting pot, reestablish it, but with principles and values. And remember, you take the lead. Start from the beginning. We change ourselves to fix our country and our world. It is fascinating to me that after the greatest generation, our parents and our grandparents who fought back the scourge of the fascists and the communists, it was their children who were the ones that caused all the rioting and the problems in the 1960s. That's who they were. They burned the flag. Their parents fought against fascism and communism. Why? How did that happen? I believe it's because they weren't required to do very much. There's a couple of other reasons. First, our grandparents wanted to make sure that their children didn't go without like they did. They also didn't talk to their kids about the great sacrifice and the cost, the awful price they had to pay for their safety and freedom. Think about your grandparents. Did they talk about the war? Did your grandfather talk about what he did? Most didn't. So everything became this leave it to beaver world for them. And they turned into the 60s hippies that rebelled. We let our guard down. We had misplaced values. The next generation, well, not as radical as the 1960s, didn't learn responsibility either. When these two generations took over Wall Street, and the last of the greatest generation walked out the door, it was the 60s radical that replaced him. And that's when all hell broke loose. That's back in the 90s, subprime mortgage, credit default swaps, day trading, no down payment required, interest-only mortgages. There is no easy money, and there are consequences, but that generation never learned them. The generation before did. The good news is, the generation that we are raising now understands this. I think they are the most valiant that we have seen. They are the ones who are going to set this thing right. We made a mess of it, and we've got to now do what we can to make it right. It is up to us to know that times are changing, and then to act on that and instill the values and work ethic necessary to carry the burden. Each of us with children and grandchildren have an unbelievable moral and I think sacred responsibility to do all we can to reverse the trend and equip our children and grandchildren, a generation that has rot inside. Some of them are dead inside because they've already been lost. Don't. Teach them goodness, perspective, and responsibility. That's what it is. I told you this story back in November. I told you about a woman who found a coat that once belonged to my dad. She sold it. She could have sold it, but she didn't. She didn't want to do it because there was something special inside that she hadn't lost yet. Well, I'm going to give you an update. Here is what she has been up to lately.
After appearing on the show, I've been slammed with orders, and I've been trying to replenish the shop ever since. This whole experience has been incredible. I feel so blessed and lucky to be able to found that coat. My shop just blew up. It was crazy. It slowed way down in the month of December because I didn't have anything for sale. I was bought out. This past 2 months, I've been busy trying to get new stuff listed. So many people have been writing me from across the country, just giving me support, these uplifting messages. It's just been so great. My daughter Ella is 3.5 years old. One viewer sent a 14-karat gold locket in an envelope and wrote a long letter saying that this is for Ella when she's old enough to appreciate it, and tell her that she's got such a great mom. And I just put that whole envelope in Ella's saved been for when she's older. I really can't believe I found the coach. I've just been totally blessed by this whole experience. It was all worth it. It was amazing.
Keith Abloh and I wrote a blueprint. 7 Wonders. I don't even think it can change your life. It will change your life. Can man rule himself? You bet he can. The answer is yes, but you have to piece it together piece by piece. Find out all the information about the 7 Wonders at glennbeck.com. We'll see you tomorrow night. From New York, good night, America.